Let's take a look at Corterum's new consumer duty functionality. Here we can see that it's broken down into 6 separate sections. The first of which is the consumer duty in-scope quiz. Here you can answer a few simple questions to determine whether or not a product that you manufacture or distribute is subject to the consumer duty. You can also view any previous quizzes that you've conducted in this section. Next, we have the products section. Here we can see all of the products that we either manufacture or distribute. If we click into one of the products, we can see that we have a list of different information about the product. First, we have the summary section, which has some of the more basic info about the product, such as its status, the role of your firm in the distribution or manufacturing process, a summary of the product, and the launch date of the product. This section also links off to the in-scope quiz if you need to determine whether or not the product is in scope. Next, we have the design section. Here you can list the characteristics of the product, information about its distribution, information about the way it's communicated to the consumer, any procedures we've put in place in order to support the consumer, any fees or biases that might be at play with the product, any considerations that have been made for vulnerable customers, any QA procedures that are in place, and any amendments to any of those previous sections. Next, we have the target market. Here we can list the target market of the product, as well as its characteristics and its needs. And we could also conduct a fair value assessment of the product. In order to help you out with this, we've created the price discrimination assessment tool. Here you'll be asked a series of questions which you can answer using these sliders. Depending on your answers, you'll be given a score from 0 to 100, which indicates the level of price discrimination that may be at play with your product. Next, we have the testing section. Here you can list any procedures that you've put in place in order to test the product itself, as well as communication around the product. Next, we have the approval section. Here you can store information about the product's approval process, as well as its next approval review. The next section is distribution. Here you can store information about the product's distribution methods and distribution chains. In the support section, you can detail any of the procedures that you've put in place to support the consumer. And in the review section, you can conduct a review of any of those previous sections. If you've determined that there's an aspect of the product that needs to be monitored, you can do this using the monitoring section. If the product has been found to have done some harm to the consumer, you can document this using the redress section. And finally, if the product has been withdrawn from the market, you can document this in the closures section. Earlier, we took a look at the price discrimination assessment tool. If you want to change any of the questions that that tool asks of you, you can do that using the price discrimination config section. Simply change the text of any of the questions and click Save. Next, we have the value assessment section. Here you can see a list of all of the previous value assessments that you've conducted for all of your different products. You can also create a brand new value assessment and upload any relevant documents to aid in that assessment. Similarly, in the policies and procedures section, you can see a list of all of the different policies and procedures that you have in place for your products. You can also create a new policy or procedure and upload documents to support that. Finally, we have the analytics section. This allows you to get a bird's eye view of various aspects of your compliance with the consumer duty. The first section we have is upcoming reviews. Here you can see a pie chart of all of your different products and whether or not they have upcoming reviews in a certain space of time. If you want to see it for 3 months, you can do. If you want to change that to 6, 9, or 12 months, you can also do that. Next, you can view a snapshot of upcoming policies and procedures that need to be renewed. Again, you can change that to 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months. We then have upcoming value assessments. And the same here applies. You can change that to different timeframes. And finally, we have the product network, which allows you to view a map of all of your products, value assessments, and policies, and the different links between those.